Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, The 3i Show with myself, Stefan de Alwis. Today we have a very special guest on the show. Come with me and let's find out who it is. Hi Joel.
Pleasure.
It's great to have you on the 3i Show.
It's been a long time coming.
Hey, thank you so much. I understand with your busy schedule, we finally managed to make this happen.
Not at all. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And I must apologize. He did chase me quite a bit of time and I wasn't the best or the most supportive. But yeah, finally happy to be here.
Thank you.
What does it take to build a brand that inspires a generation to move? Meet Joel Tillekeratne, founder and CEO of Carnage, to the 3i Show with Stefan de Alwis, Sri Lanka's leading premium athletic and lifestyle apparel brand, now with 6 retail stores across the island. He's also the visionary behind Fitness Island, connecting and empowering Sri Lanka's fitness community. Launched during one of the country's toughest economic periods, Joel turned discipline, resilience, and relentless execution into one of Sri Lanka's biggest entrepreneurial success stories. This is more than fitness. This is leadership. This is purpose. Joel Tillekeratne on the 3i Show with Stefan de Alwis.
So Joel, I have a lot of questions lined up to ask you. But the first $1 billion question I have for you, are you single?
No, I'm not.
He's taken.
I'm not.
And
I like how you put it right at the start.
I just let's get straight to the point. And so you're a taken man.
Yeah.
And you're very much focused on this amazing brand that you built.
Yeah. I mean, it's been pretty much what I do. It's like my bread and butter. So life's been pretty much building the brand. Of course, I mean, I do have a few other things going on as well, but Carnage has been my bread and butter.
It's
a baby.
But now the baby has turned 6 years old, am I correct?
Yeah. We just turned 6 few months back and just trying to see, obviously we're trying to scale and seeing how things go.
Amazing. So there was a interesting bit of research that I read. It says that 80% of clothing brands fail within the first 2 years, and then 98% fail within the first 5 years. So you are part of you are part of the 2% that has made it. What has been the secret to building a business that is now in its 6th year, defying odds of failure? What has been the secret?
So I think I'm glad we passed the 5th year. That kind of tells that now we're in the 2%. But I think it's one thing is with the clothing apparel industry, it's a very easy to enter industry. I guess that's why the failure rate is also high. The barriers to entry are very low. Today anybody could start, right? So I'm assuming that's why the failure rate is. But for us, I think something that really carried us through was that emphasis we did from day one on building a brand.
Brilliant.
Whereas what I see a lot in the market that's happening is everybody wants to sell a product. You take a product and do a design and you sell. You kind of forget the art of building a brand, and that's something that kind of separates you through the tough times. Obviously, eventually competition goes up. What makes you stand out?
That's right.
And a lot of the times, it's the brand, right? I mean, we see in the mobile phone industry, there's a million number of brands, but of course, the Apple, the Samsungs kind of stand out. So in the same logic we applied is one reason I'm assuming that we were able to. I mean, it's of course a lot of other things of the team we have and the resilience we have. We've kind of gone through so many things in the past. All of that comes, but I think I give a lot of credit to emphasizing or prioritizing and putting that effort into building a brand and being long-sighted, because brand is not a thing that you kind of have a return on investment today.
That's right.
Whereas a lot of startups today, you want to spend money, you want to see that coming tomorrow. But here we, for the first 2-3 years, we never thought of what we take out. It was about investing into building the brand. So kind of playing that long game, which is what we are seeing results today to some extent. So I think that's something that helped us kind of navigate through that 5 years.
Brilliant. And see, today many entrepreneurs, they want to start a business maybe because they want money. What was the purpose behind you starting this business? What prompted you to do it? Was it money?
Yeah, I think I had that too. I've always wanted to make money. Like from school days, if you look at right after school itself, I've always tried to buy and sell something. So it's always been in me.
You were hustling.
Yeah, I was hustling. But I would say I was never money hungry or because one thing that testifies that is for the longest time, I didn't take anything out of the business for a long time. It was putting everything back just to grow our capital, to grow keep growing the business. Never had the, kind of chase that fancy life of things. So I wouldn't say I'm money hungry, but of course, at that, coming out of school, looking at the guys around and all these guys are successful, and you have that urge at that young age, I also want to make it in life.
That's right.
Just money does drive you, but I still think just wanted to build something that's of my own. I think that's where kind of that mindset I had.
And did you start with a lot of money?
No. I mean, I started, I could say, I think it was about, so when I started Fitness Island, we pumped in around 200,000 rupees, right? So I think that was something kind of we put in, and then if you look at the first picture of our store, there's like one of each unit.
So that was the first business you built, Fitness Island?
Fitness Island was my first business. So and that's where I got started.
Selling supplements?
It was selling supplements. That took a long time to really kick off because it was a very slow business, very tough business. So yeah, it was a lot of capital. It's just that we retained earnings. My entire team knows, all of us know, we've been one of the companies that ran the leanest. So we never had unnecessary expense till very recently. Just maybe into the 4th year is when we actually got an office. If not, we were just in one table trying to keep our costs down, just so that everything can be put back to the business and kind of grow. Because today when I look back, I actually didn't have the financial literacy that I wish I had, using debt to grow, raising funds. I didn't have any of that. So it was like, the only way I'm going to grow is if I save money, is the kind of mindset which I know is not the right one. But of course it helped. That just kind of sums it up.
And for someone who's watching, they might be someone who has an idea or a startup founder, and they might not have the capital. What's the best way they can go about raising the capital for them to launch the business?
I mean, I think context will matter, right? I mean, how much of money you're trying to raise. If it's a small amount of capital, of course there are ways you could sell some of the things you have. There are easy ways to do it. But of course, if it's a large amount of capital, then you could always pitch your idea into. There are a lot of investors now looking into helping startups. A lot of companies are putting funds aside. So I think there are different ways. Of course, if you have a bit of a good relationship with your bank is your friend. If you kind of have a bit of a history. So yeah, a lot of ways to go about it. I think it just starts with that mindset of understanding capital is not my barrier. I'm just going to figure it out. I think it's hard to say without knowing context.
Of course.
But just the mindset, look, I'm not going to not do what I'm supposed to do. I'm not going to do what I'm passionate about just because I don't have capital. Let me figure it out. I think that's the starting point you need to have.
Brilliant. That's a great answer. So today, 6 years on from when you launched the brand, I think during a pandemic.
Yeah.
You have 6 locations.
Yep.
6 physical stores, one Golf Face being one of your flagship stores, correct?
Yep.
And you're not just in Colombo, but you're in other districts. Is entrepreneurship for everyone?
No, surely not. I'm glad you asked it, because I also see like today everybody's just watching. Because of course it's glamorized, right?
That's
right.
You
see a lot of content and it's like, oh, leave your job and you must start your own business, you must be your own boss. But it does come at a cost, and unless you're willing to pay that price, I would say it's not for everyone. Because I mean, I know so many people who worked in the bank or who worked in corporate, they get off at 5 o'clock, they're spending time with their families, they're happy.
Yes.
I think it'll come down to that. If you're happy with what you're doing, doesn't mean you need to chase entrepreneurship. Now that being said, everything has 2 sides. If you're that guy who's willing to, kind of sacrifice a little bit of your time, your bit of everything, bit of your sanity, right? Bit of everything, then I think entrepreneurship is for you. But it's definitely not for everyone. I think that's something that needs to be preached out, because if you are happier getting off on time at home, you value, because it comes down to your values, right?
Absolutely.
Some people value free time, where you don't want anything to do with work, you want to enjoy your time. Then perhaps I think a good place where you could grow is still the best way to go. But yeah, not for everyone, but if it's for you, there's a price to pay.
So what is the price that you have paid, or the sacrifices you have made in terms of starting your own business and building your brand?
Oh, that's a long. I would start by saying, of course, time. That's the first thing you sacrifice, right? Even especially that early phase, you'll have to spend an unimaginable amount of time doing things, because you don't have the teams, you don't have the luxury of hiring people. You're the guy who does the numbers at the end of the month. You're the guy who make sure the production is happening. You're the guy who's keeping sometimes even the place clean, right? So there is necessary, I mean, unless you are sitting on a lot of capital, the price you're going to pay is time. Time means freedom. That's saying no to a lot of things. I mean, for me, anyone knows that for the longest time, you know, weekends I was still indoors, I was doing my work. There is a price to pay. I think it's a lot of your time. And then of course your stress to your, I mean, there's a bit of sanity as well you got to pay. There is a price, but I think the level of price you pay will depend on your level of ambition. It will depend on your resources you have. You know, at the end of the day, you don't have to pay the same price. If you do have a good team and you can delegate the work, you don't have to pay the price. So it depends on where you stand today. And if you're capital restricted, you don't have the luxury of hiring teams, you got to pay the price of time, freedom, you know, the pressure, kind of absorbing all that in. So it does take a toll on you, but that's the price you got to pay.
And I think from that price that you have paid today, Carnage is, I think, more than just a clothing brand. It's an identity where people want to associate with the brand because it gives them a certain identity. How did you manage to do that?
I think with that early one, I also want to touch, as much as there's a price to pay, there's also a reward, right? So something we should not also, because the dark side of this is also sometimes when you talk too much on the price, people can get demotivated. But of course, there is a reward. I mean, today my life is different to 5 years ago. There is a reward. The reward can not just be monetarily. It can be, you know, satisfaction and the teams you get to build. But yeah, I mean, kind of touching on that point you asked, building the brand, the community, that was all intentional, because I believe, you know, if you're selling a product and you don't stand for something, you don't necessarily have a DNA for what you're selling, you're just another product in the market. So for us, we looked at fitness, health, wellness. These were categories that we were serving in. If you look at our slogan, it says be better every day. So we wanted to always inspire. So if you look at our mission statement, it says inspire a generation to be better every day.
Wow.
So with that, we want to, let's say we want to host a run, we want people to come after the run, we're going to talk, we're going to inspire people. So there's something the brand must stand for, and that is what we stand for, in inspiring people to get better. It could be fitness being the anchor of it, because a lot of our products are in the active athleisure segment. But the brand must stand for something and not just the product.
And did you always foresee, or did you have the vision that, man, this is going to be big one day, or did you just take one day at a time?
I think I went with the flow. I mean, I wouldn't have kind of seen what we would achieve, because actually today, when I even, sometimes it hits, right? It randomly hits you. When we think, hey, today we have a store in Mongol Face, because I know 5 years ago I would have never thought we'll have a store in the ground floor, in a premium positioning. So yeah, it does hit, but definitely didn't see, like, it was more like go with the flow, just make sure we, you know, clock one day at a time.
And with, I mean, you mentioned this premium positioning of the brand, and being in a country that's so cost conscious or cost sensitive, how did you manage to penetrate the market?
Again, I think it's what we stood for, the value we created, and the brand, right? So of course, Sri Lanka is a very price sensitive market.
Yes.
If you're not selling products at an affordable range, your market size is going to shrink, which is the case for us, because we know a lot of the larger retailers who could potentially sell anywhere in the country. But for us, it's a very limited space, which is what, you know, which is why we're becoming ambitious to kind of go for outside markets as well. Because in Sri Lanka, yes, people have a certain restriction in terms of what they can spend for apparel. So we don't get the luxury of pricing it the way international brands would. But yes, we price it at a certain price point, because we believe the effort and the kind of resources that go into it, and of course, you know, the stores, there's a lot of cost that goes into it, all that factors in as well. But yeah, definitely being in a country like Sri Lanka, it does restrict you to a certain extent, because people are very price conscious.
Exactly. And I guess today, with the depreciation of the rupee and what's happening globally, how do you, you know, with working with your suppliers, etc., how do you navigate through such instances?
It's always very uncertain, and unfortunately, you know, we don't work in a stable environment. We've been through so many things, that we've been through the COVIDs, the economic crisis.
Right.
I mean, just 2 weeks ago, the dollar suddenly shot up, right? And then everybody who, I know, let's say we bring fabrics from outside, or suddenly the prices go up. So it's a very volatile market to work with. But it's a part of the journey. I mean, you don't get to pick and choose, unfortunately, right? I mean, I was born here. I'm in the market now. I don't think I have the luxury of moving out of the country and starting a business outside. I got to work with what I have. I got to work with the resources I have. And if it means it's a volatile market, so be it.
Yeah. So that's brilliant, because you just showed us the mindset you have, because there are other entrepreneurs, well-seasoned, maybe young entrepreneurs, startup founders, who might be, navigating through the same market conditions. So what is one mindset that they should have through times of uncertainty?
I mean, for me, it comes down to what can I control, right? I know I can't control the dollar rate, right? I mean, I'd love to, but I can't. Where all that much of. But I mean, it comes down to, so every time some of these uncertainties come, I always say to my team, look, we can't control that, but we can control certain things, How do we adapt to this situation? As much as I'd love to be in a position where I could, but I think in business, regardless of where you have your business, whichever country, there are certain factors that's beyond your control.
That's right.
So it's just understanding what is beyond my control. So let me not worry about that. Let me see what I could do now to adapt. Because unless you're going to adapt, you're not going to compete. And the big boys are always adapting. I think that's how brands have built for 10, 100 years of legacy. If they've done that, we just got to learn from them and keep adapting.
Absolutely. So Joel, today many entrepreneurs make mistakes. They learn from the mistakes they made. When building the brand, were there any mistakes that you made, and what did it teach you? How did you overcome it? What were those mistakes?
I think one key mistake I made was probably not hiring fast enough. So I think when you kind of build a brand and in that journey, when you're at a position where you could hire some of the expertise in certain industries, it's good to hire, kind of delegate the work. So if I'm to give an example, if you look at in my field, I should have had a garment technologist, a designer at a senior level a lot earlier than we got. So the price you pay is obviously your product will not be up to mark, and that's obviously going to leave a bad impression on your customer on the long run. So some of the early mistakes of course, not hiring some of the key positions, that we were a little too slow. Now we do. Now we have got a experience, because that really gives you that edge over kind of what you're trying to do. But I think that was one of the key mistakes we made from not getting that necessary experience.
Is it because of cash flow, or now today companies, managing cash flow? How do you do that? Because a lot of companies struggle in the area of cash flow.
I think for us, the reason we didn't go for a lot of hiring is also that kind of mindset of, let's run lean as possible, kind of retain as earnings. Obviously, more hirings is more expenses. But what I didn't realize at that point was it was also doing a lot more damage on the long term, right? So had we had those key positions in-house early, we would have done products that could withstand more time and eventually lead into a better customer experience. So there's a bit of price you kind of... So it's a very fine edge, right? You also don't want to overspend and then kind of have your cash flows running negative because you're spending. But there are certain areas you must spend. Hiring the right finance guy, depends in your industry. For us, it's having the good design team, the good designers, the garment technologists. So we were a little slow, so that kind of pay the price. But of course, in cash flow, for us, it was always making sure our expenses are, not off the roof, and then we're not lavishly spending. Now we really understand where we should be spent. Like for example, we did spend a lot on marketing, because that's a long-term ROI, right? But we didn't spend a lot on infrastructure, for example. Like I was saying before, we ran very lean. Our rentals were low. We had just 1-2 office tables. We made sure our costs are kept low. So just understanding where you need to spend. Some are long-term spends. And just making sure you don't spend more than what you make.
And you mentioned you spend a lot on marketing. Marketing is important for what you're doing. Can you give us some tips or secrets that they don't teach you on marketing textbooks that you have implemented to see the success of your product?
Because for me, I think marketing is essentially attention, right? And attention comes at a price. Today, everybody's minds, eyes are on social media.
That's right.
And not just us, everybody's fighting for that attention, right? So when we want to take that attention, there's a cost you got to pay, there's a price you got to pay. So you want to be making sure you got to always remember what you're fighting for is attention.
That's right.
And you're fighting against people possibly with bigger budgets, right? The big brands have big budgets. They're spending a lot of more money on social platforms, ads, maybe even outdoor advertising. So in marketing, I think for us, what we focus is how can we get attention while we spend the least amount of money. Because yes, you can get attention if you have big budgets.
That's
but
right.
Here, we prioritized, organic content, for example. Can we create content? Because essentially, you don't have to spend money to create content. It's free.
Yes.
Right? Platforms are free. TikTok, Instagram, all these platforms give you the opportunity to advertise for free. So can we create content that will break through the platforms and get us more impressions, get us more reach, and get us more attention at the end of the day? So I think everything kind of bottles down to how do we get the attention of people? How do we keep the attention on us? That's how we've always approached marketing, because that's where I said, it's a long-term game.
Yes.
Right? You got to spend on marketing. A lot of the guys don't want us because you don't really see the ROI immediately just because I spend a couple of rupees on advertising doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get my sales going up tomorrow. It's a long term, right? 1 year, 2 years down the line, you'll see the guys who did invest in terms of marketing. So yeah, that's something that's kind of how I look at marketing.
Brilliant. So you mentioned there are some big boys out there that have a big budget on marketing, like global brands. You have Gymshark, Under Armour, maybe Lululemon. So how do you fit in or compete against those big boys?
Yeah, I think for us in Sri Lanka, one thing a little, I would say, an advantage, some of the international brands aren't really strong here.
That's right.
They're just present, but they haven't really localized and so that becomes an advantage for us. But of course, even when we were starting out, there were still the local bigger players who were still investing a lot more money. But it's about strategy and figuring out how do we still compete, even though our budgets are limited. So attention there are certain areas where you can put your focus to bring attention at a cheaper price point. Like I said, social media, for example, some of the bigger guys, they have the funds to do a lot of advertising on Meta.
Yeah.
But if we are really good at organic content we create, we still could achieve but it again comes down to being good at what you do.
Okay.
Right. For us, I always tell my team, if we are doing content, our content has to be the best. We must know the platform, right? What works on TikTok? What works on Instagram? What works on Instagram doesn't work on TikTok.
Exactly.
So you got to be very platform sensitive, investing time to learn, right? For example, I spend a lot of time learning about marketing from international guys. I watch a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
So these become your added advantage when you're a startup, right? If you can invest time, you can sit during your lunch. You're a business owner and you feel like your marketing is bad. I'm sure you can go on YouTube, watch some of the big guys and how they've done marketing, learn from that and implement it too.
So what's the biggest lesson you have learned through building the brand?
In which sense?
In just building and starting this business, what's the biggest lesson that you have learned through building a business?
I think it's a long-term game and you need to have the appetite to kind of brace everything that comes, right? You're going to have a lot of external impacts coming. You're going to have competitors trying to eat into your market share. So you need the ability to play a long-term game, and it requires a lot of patience right?
And perseverance.
You're going to get tested, right? You see someone trying to do what you've done, you get copied. It's all part of the game. I think it's just first understand it's a part of the game. This happens everywhere in the world. But how much of it can you take and how much can you hold on?
Yeah.
A lot to do with patience.
Amazing. So was there ever a time you thought Carnage was going to fail?
Luckily, no.
Brilliant.
Because one thing I think we've been able to have momentum from the beginning, which I know was an added advantage. And I see in business, you have the momentum. It's important how you keep kind of playing along with it. But yeah, I don't think I've had a moment where I thought it's going to fail.
Amazing. So today, you turned this idea into a profitable business today. Today, there are many people who just dream, and then there are those who actually go and execute. What's the difference? How do you go from dreaming to execution? Because there could be someone watching who has the idea in thought form, but maybe they don't know the next step. What would your advice be?
I think you need to have a hunger in you, right? It's a very hard question to answer because I feel like everybody has ideas and we hear this out, right? Everybody has ideas, but execution is the game. So it depends on how bad you want it and what is your purpose why are you trying to do what you're trying to do, and do you have that hunger? And if you do, the rest you figure it out, right?
Brilliant.
So one thing I've always tell anyone is you'll figure it out. Like, to be honest, I had no idea. Like, I don't come from a fashion background. I don't come from a business background. I don't know finance. I literally know nothing, right? Technically, I would say I'm a little good at marketing. I had some sense, but apart from that, everything else in the business I know nothing of. But I figured it out because on day one you don't have to worry about your problems that comes in 3 years. On
That's
day
right.
one, how do you manage today? And we are humans, we always adapt, and we're figuring out when you're in hot water and things aren't going your way, you will figure it out. So I would say, don't think too much, right? Just start from where you can, and you will figure it out.
Brilliant. If you could go back to the beginning of building the brand, would you do anything differently?
Yeah, hire more people, hire faster.
Okay.
Hire faster. I think that'll be one of the most critical things that I want to change. And yeah, I think in this journey, you'd always look back and see, could have done that differently. That's always there in you. When you're an entrepreneur, you look back, this would have been done better, but it's all part of the journey.
And what's the biggest risk you took during these last 6 years that paid off?
I can't isolate one per se, because I feel like
there were many.
Most of them were risky. I mean, if you look at our last, our first retail store was I would say the biggest risk, right? At that point, we have never run a retail store in fashion before. I still remember when I heard the rental, I was like, that much of money for a month on rental, that's a bit crazy. Because it was, I would say, 10 times more than what I am used to paying for my previous business. So, okay, what if when we open doors, nobody comes, right? From that to our last store, everything is a risk. It's very hard to... but of course, as the business grow, your risk appetite increases, right? So that's the advantage. Your first couple of risks can probably put you down. But as you go, today, I think we are able to take bigger risk. But taking a risk is a must, and if you don't take a risk, you're not going to grow. I still remember even the One Golf Face store. For 9 months, we went up and down trying to see if this is a good move for us, because there's a lot of pros and cons. Obviously, pricing is at a very so there's a lot of that, but we took the risk and it paid off. So risk is a part of it. Your risk appetite just increases over time.
Okay, brilliant. And so, example like the One Golf Face store, you said took 9 months.
Yeah.
What's your decision-making process to know whether, okay, this is a risk, an opportunity I'm going to go for, or whether I don't go for it? How do you process it in your business? So do you do it alone, or a team is with you?
Early days, it was gut, right? It was just like, I think this won't fail. But eventually I realized I can't rely on gut, because some questionable decisions would have been made. So now, of course, everything is facts, figures, numbers. And I don't do it alone. We have a finance team, and everything is numbers and facts and figures, right? So less of gut now. But I still think there's a bit of gut. I don't think it's ever going to go away. Sometimes some projects don't look really good on paper, but I'm like, no, it's going to work. We're going to make it work. And we've gone that route as well. But I think the more mature you become, the more you grow, you understand. There's a certain element of calculated risk, we call it, right? So you kind of, what's the revenue you'll do here? Or what are the potential expenses? What does a worst month look like? What does a best case scenario look like? There's a lot of assumptions made, and then kind of take a decision today. Okay. But I still think, gut helps.
Absolutely. And in terms of challenges, building a business is not easy, especially in the, as I said earlier, you're in the 2% that made it.
Yeah.
So what has been some of the greatest challenges that you faced? And what would they be? Was it people issues? Was it, I don't know, were people stealing from the business? I don't know. What was some of the toughest challenges that you faced that you managed to overcome?
I think definitely people becomes a challenge, because managing people, right? At the end of the day, we're all human. There's sometimes misunderstanding, there's hurt. And when you sit on the top and sometimes certain decisions are difficult to make, they're not going to like it, but you still got to do it. And of course, there's disappointments from every side. So I think managing people becomes a very challenging part. Because like I said, for me also everything is a learning.
Yes.
I've not been a CEO before or led a company before. So I also might make the wrong decision, right? I also might go based on my emotions, my feelings. So it's about learning a lot of that. But yeah, in terms of challenges, definitely managing people, a very young team, obviously then sometimes they also do things they're not supposed to. But yeah, I think managing people, and then in terms of challenge, of course, the external challenges, the COVIDs,
How did you navigate? But you were birthed through the pandemic,
yes,
right?
and then the economic crisis to stores. We've been through quite a few. I think challenges are part of it, but definitely managing people is something I'm also still learning.
Brilliant. And because you're involved in an industry that's ever evolving.
Yeah.
So what's the key, or how do you manage to stay relevant in such a evolving industry?
Yeah, it's very fast changing. What's trending today is probably gone in a few months.
Exactly.
But of course, that's where you have your teams. Right? If you have, for example, our design teams are consistently researching. They're keeping an eye on what's coming up. So I think as you grow, certain things become easy as well. Because for us, back in the day, we couldn't, but now we are becoming more agile. We control certain parts of the supply chain. We control the research part. So, and we are constantly up to date. So I think as you grow, the more people you have, the better you become, because they have the luxury. They do that as a job.
Yes.
So for example, design teams are always researching what's coming up next. How do we keep up with the changing? Because it's always changing.
And what's one secret in sales, in selling, that no one teaches you?
I would say no one teaches you, but I think this is the fundamental of sales. Give more value than what you ask for. Right? I've always seen that, because when you look at through my journey, I've always known that one thing. For example, I'll just give you a quick example. When I was doing Fitness Island, I opened a YouTube channel that gave free fitness education. We reached about 100,000 subscribers. Wow. A lot of people. There were no selling.
Yes.
Right. So it was about giving value. So how do you do this? I used to get a coach and let him explain. But subconsciously you sell, where the link on, let's say, or while they're talking, we put ad in the middle. So it's always give more value than what you ask. So I think even here, what I always tell our team is our product must serve value more than what we are charging them. So I think the fundamentals of sales for me is give more value than what you ask.
Brilliant. And I asked you a $1 billion question earlier in the car, but now here's the $1 trillion question. What's the future of Carnage?
International. That's pretty much all we talk about now, right? How do we enter some other markets outside Sri Lanka? I think that's the final goal.
Okay, brilliant. And right now you're the sole owner of the business?
Yes.
And in the future, are you looking for partners? Or?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course. I think growth requires partners. Like I said off camera, I was saying 0 to 100, you can put all your heart, soul, and all your passion and try to build it. But to go from 100 to 1,000, that's when you need perhaps more capital, perhaps more brains, perhaps more experience. All that helps. So yeah, partners. There's a lot in the future that we'll need to keep the brand growing.
Brilliant. And my final question before we go into what is called a rapid fire round. If you lost Carnage today, it's not going to happen, but let's say you did and you had to start from scratch, what would you do in the first 90 days?
Do I lose everything?
Everything. Let's say you have to start from scratch.
Okay. But do I have to start the brand itself, or can I start something else?
Yeah, something else. That's a tough question.
You put me on the spot. Do I also lose my network, my knowledge, all of that?
Everything.
Oh God, I'll probably have to go and work somewhere. I'll probably have to join some company, work for a while, save some money, learn something new again. Probably I'll focus on collecting skills and building my network again. Because I think that's, because you said I'm losing that as well. Because if I had that, then I know someone who knows someone. Now I don't have that also. But yeah, my skills, yes, I may probably work somewhere, gain some networking, because I need to start from scratch.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Your network is your net worth, they say.
Yes.
What's one of the fundamental skills you think entrepreneurs, startup founders, maybe youth, young adults who are watching, seasoned entrepreneurs, what is some skills that are really important in being an entrepreneur?
I mean, for me, it's always been communication.
Wow.
Because it really solves a lot of problems. A lot of problems stems from communication. So if I am good at communicating my side to you and use I'm very good at understanding, listening. I think top skill is communication, and that solves a lot of things.
Brilliant. Joel, okay, we'll go into the...
I hope you don't put me... When you said rapid fire, I'm like, oh, do we really have to do this? Okay, let's do it.
You'll be brilliant, okay. So the first question is, what does success mean to you?
Happiness.
Happiness, okay. Yeah. You're the second person that I've asked that question to and answered the same way. Happiness, I like it. If you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self?
Damn, too much younger self.
You take a time machine back to when you were a boy in Wesley College. What would you tell that boy now, looking at yourself from today?
Honestly, tough one.
Yeah.
I just can't think of one thing I would say. I mean, I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I'm being honest.
If it's more than one thing, you can share it. Yeah. Is it to keep going, or is it life will be okay, or put in the work earlier?
I think I started quite early.
You did.
I could have started earlier than that. But yeah, I would say, be patient.
Be patient.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Patient in the sense with the journey.
With the journey, yeah. My WhatsApp status has been patience for 10 years.
There you go.
So I'll just probably stick to that. Yeah.
What is the legacy you want to be remembered for?
Someone that inspired people.
Okay, interesting. Someone that inspired people. And one truth about entrepreneurship that people don't tell you.
I think you got to be okay with being a bit lonely, I would say. Yeah.
See, that's powerful. Yeah. Being lonely.
Yeah. You got to be okay with that.
Okay.
Because especially if you're building something your own, there'll be times where you got to deal with it by yourself.
And so how do you go through because someone might not have the mindset or the perseverance.
I mean, I would definitely advise if you have a mentor to speak to them. But
brilliant.
I'm saying sometimes, because not everyone has a mentor, not everybody has the luxury of a team. So in your early days, you should be able to kind of face things alone.
And how important is mentorship?
Very, very. I think that's something that's not spoken enough of. For example, I think I've been lucky to have a few people down the line who I've kind of run things by. I think mentorship is important. You need people who've done what you want to do. But of course, picking the right mentor is important. Because they got to have done what you want to do. They've got to have walked the walk, right? And that's
not just talk the talk.
Not just talk the talk. So they have done where you want to go, and they are someone who you look up to. But mentorship is very important. It helps you at times.
Amazing. And my final question, do you have any regrets?
No.
Brilliant.
In the most humble possible way. I'm just being honest. Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant place to be. Joel, once again, thank you so much for being on the 3i Show. I'm certain many who watch this and are watching will be impacted by it, your journey. It's truly a testament of what you have done and the business you have built, and we on the 3i Show wish you all the very best for your future.
Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully episode 2.
Yes, why not? Thank you.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of the 3i Show podcast. We want to hear your thoughts on what we covered today. So drop a comment on the YouTube version of this episode with your favorite takeaway, any questions you have, or actions you'll be taking as a result of what was shared on this episode. If you found value in the 3i Show podcast, follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's all for this episode on the 3i Show. Get out there and impact, inspire, and influence.